Hello and welcome to Schweet Shiznitz here in beautiful Muncie, Indiana, the home of much rain and the beautiful and lovely co-host of mine, Krista White.
Cello.
So we are, in case you haven't listened to us before, a podcast that reviews and watches, or watches and reviews. It's probably more productive if we watch and then review 80s movies. And so we are children of the 80s. Both of us grew up in the 80s, though my co-host may not admit to that.
I doubt that you've grown up.
And, well, we started growing up in the 80s. So we have a fondness for 80s movies, and we like to go back and rewatch these movies. Sometimes we enjoy them as much or more than we did in the 80s. Sometimes we find that maybe we don't enjoy them quite as much as we originally did. But we talk about them nonetheless. And so every week we watch one, and then we talk to you guys about it. This week is no exception. Before we do that, we sometimes will talk about any new reviews we have. We did not, I will double check this, but as of this morning, we did not have any new 5-star reviews.
Oh, come on, man.
So let's see if you guys have surprised me. I'm going to hop on here to iTunes.
How fast you going to hop?
We do not have any new 5-star reviews to share with you.
Oh, come on, man.
So I will tell you, if you listen to this and you enjoy it, please hop on to iTunes or your Apple Podcast app. Give us a 5-star, well, however many stars you think we deserve. We'd like 5-star reviews. They help us to get noticed more. They help to bump us up to where people will find us. Other people can see our podcast. So it means a lot to us. It also just helps boost our egos a little bit, help us feel better about ourselves, feel like people appreciate what we do.
Hop on the bus, Gus.
Yes. And you can follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all of those lovely things. We are Schweet Shiznitz on all of the social medias. We are also Schweet Shiznitz at Gmail if you want to hop over and give us an email. And then we are fully and completely sponsored by our listeners. We do not play any ads during our shows. We don't have any corporate sponsorships or anything like that. So if you would like to help, there are costs involved in hosting and producing a podcast. So if you'd like to help us with any of those costs and help us to improve the podcast.
We are now passing around the offering plate.
Yes. You can hop on to patreon.com/sweetshiznitz.
You're really on this hop thing tonight.
Yes, hop on pop.
Hop on the bus, Gus.
And
no need to be coy Roy. What's the stand part?
I don't know.
You know the song.
I do know the song, but it's been a couple
No
years
need
since
to be
I've listened
bland
to it.
Stan?
Probably not. That doesn't sound right at all.
Well, you're wrong sometimes.
But we did watch a movie this week. It is Mother's Day weekend. It is currently the evening before Mother's Day. We're sitting at just shy of an hour and a half before Mother's Day.
You know, it would be much easier when I talk if you would actually communicate and converse back with me.
Would it be?
It would be, because I'm like talking about something and then you're just look at me and then you're like, and we just watched a movie and it's just an hour and a half shy of Mother's Day.
I'm over here that like Southern accent.
And I'm over here like, hey, I was just talking about, the song, hop on the bus, Gus, no need to be coy, Roy.
Bad,
and you're like,
Leroy Brown.
And you're like, and it's almost Mother's Day over here in rainy Muncie. And I'm like, hello, I'm talking over here.
By Jim Croce.
I'm over here talking.
Bad Leroy Brown.
And you're just like, hey, I'm the only one here.
No, there's two of us.
I'm not sure about that.
I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm. Anyway.
But we did watch a movie.
See? Uh-huh.
And we decided we would watch a Mother's Day related movie.
Someone made me, actually. There was no we decided.
Well, I thought it might be appropriate given that it's Mother's Day weekend. And
I keep saying that we need to watch Steel Magnolias because it is coming back to the big screen, and I thought it was coming tomorrow.
but it's not.
But apparently it's coming next Sunday. And my husband says, that's not going to be fun to review because it's not funny and we've got to be funny. And I said, we need to just be different sometimes. And Still Magnolias does have some funny parts in it. But you wouldn't know because you've never seen it.
Serious movies make boring podcasts.
It's not just serious, but you've never seen it.
Nobody wants to listen to a boring podcast.
Who says it's going to be boring?
I mean, we can post that as like in the category of sleep aids.
Listen, you've never seen the movie.
It's true.
Correct? So how do you know?
Because I've read about it.
Doesn't mean you know.
I know.
So I'm still going to go see it, and which means you're probably going with me.
It does have a mom in it.
But that means you're probably going with me.
Yeah.
Because usually if I go somewhere and you're off work, you usually follow.
Yes.
Correct?
Usually.
So we'll have to see.
But this week we watched a different movie.
I know, but I'm talking about this. Because
I-
I'm surely people out there want to hear about Still Magnolias.
I bet they don't.
Maybe they should listen to this and let me know.
If they want to watch Still Magnolias, I'm sure they'll let you know, but I bet they won't.
That doesn't mean if we don't hear from anybody, it doesn't mean they don't want me to watch it.
It does,
It
and
just,
they won't.
But they haven't talked about the last week's, but that doesn't mean anything.
I bet you if I put up a poll of how many people want to see hear us talk about Steel Magnolias, it will be very, very few.
And it depends on how you spin it, because you'll be like, my wife wants to watch Steel Magnolias and it sounds really boring. How many of you think it's really boring? Then that's probably will turn out to be all of the fuddy-duddies
Then
out
you
there.
post the poll and word it how you want to word it.
All the fuddy-duddies out there are going to be like, oh yeah, it's super boring. It just depends on how you word it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, if I'm going to go see it anyway, we might just have to find out.
There you have it.
Now let's talk about Mr. Mom.
We haven't even said what we're watching
I just
yet.
did. We're watching Mr. Mom.
Okay.
I'm allowed to say it. You don't have to just say everything. We are watching Mr. Mom, which, is about
His new job
a mom.
is a mother.
Did you have to do that?
Michael Keaton
Where's Bobby keep the extra diapers?
and Terry Garr in Mr. Mom, a mother of a comedy.
Someone just waved at me with one finger.
I'm pretty sure that's not what that was.
So we did watch Mr. Mom.
Someone needs their soundboard taken away from them.
Nope.
Oh, yeah.
We watched Mr. Mom. And Mr. Mom,
Has Michael Keaton and Terry Garr.
it's a 1983 movie. It was written by maybe the king of 1980s movies, John Hughes. It was directed by Stan Dragotti.
Tori Spelling's dad.
It was produced by Tori Spelling's dad. Mm-hmm. Had quite a few other people in it, mostly guys. It had Doc Brown.
Doc Leroy Brown.
Yes.
Baddest man in the whole damn town.
Watch your language, young lady.
Yes, Daddy.
It also had Pop Pop from Arrested Development.
No.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Yes.
Mm-mm.
Yes. And it had Martin Mull, who my wife thought was gay, but he was only gay on Roseanne.
Oh, well.
He was on Clue as Colonel Mustard. We might cover that someday.
Maybe.
But the primary characters were played by Michael Keaton and Terry Garr.
I'm pretty sure I just went over this.
You did.
You feeling repetitive tonight?
So the movie starts out, Michael Keaton is working for an automaker. He's kind of, I guess, an executive type,
He's a manager.
a manager.
Terry Garr's a stay-at-home mom of 3 small children.
Yes. And Michael Keaton, there's some Pop Pop from Arrested Development, does some things that are a little not great. And as a result, Michael Keaton and two of the other managers get kicked to the curb.
You mean they got let go? Fired.
They got let go.
Fired.
So he goes home and he's all depressed and he's like, well, I'm going to have to start looking for a job. And
Terry Garr says, why do you have to be the only one?
Yes.
Why can't I look? Because she has a degree. And he says, what do you mean you look? Who says you have to look for a job? Because, you know, the woman's place is in the home, barefoot, pregnant, and cleaning and cooking.
right. And he's like, well, that's fine. We'll both start looking. I'll find a job first anyways. And they place a bet on it. And she puts $1 down.
He places the bet on it. She's just like irritated with him.
And
he even throws in $1 for her because she didn't have any money on her and she didn't really care.
And so he's sure that he's going to find a job first. And it turns out that he's wrong. She finds a job pretty quickly working for an advertising company because that's what her degree's in.
And she makes $100.
From him, which, you know, it's kind of both of their money. So I don't know that that really amounts to anything.
Well, who knows in their household what it is. Some people have different ways of looking at things than we do.
So she decides to go to work and he's going to take care of things around the house-ish. Initially, she's going to work and she's not expecting much. She goes in and they call her into a meeting and ask her for her contribution. And initially she's like, well, I don't really have much to contribute. And it's my first day here. And the boss, Martin Mull, is like, look, you buy tuna, you have something to contribute. Tell us what you think. And then everyone kind of starts tuning her out.
Tuning tuna?
Yes. And finally, she just tells them what she thinks. That all of their ideas...
That she would not buy tuna from any of their advertisements.
Right. All of them would be meaningless to her. So while all of this is going on, they still kind of dismiss her and leave the room. But Martin Mull does decide to let her develop her own idea for the ad campaign. And initially, Jack, who's Michael Keaton's character, is kind of...
doing everything wrong.
Yeah, he's kind of blowing off everything at home.
He's driving in the wrong entrance in the drop-off for his oldest son to go to school.
Right.
And everything that she left for him to do, like all of the little...
chores and...
not just chores, but the little helpful hints she's given him with the children. He's just like, whatever. So everything is going wrong. He overloads the washing machine, puts too much soap in it. Things are going very wrong.
He goes to the grocery store and
That's the best.
he can't find any of the right stuff. He goes to the deli counter and orders all the wrong stuff.
Well, he doesn't know how to order ham. He doesn't know there's multiple kinds of ham or cheese. And everyone behind him is getting upset.
And then every aisle they go in, something gets knocked over, and you keep hearing, clean up in aisle 7, and then clean up in aisle 13.
And every time it's their fault.
Every time it's them. And then finally you hear, I think actually it is aisle 7 at the end, that they're standing up at the front, and you hear, clean up in aisle 7, and Jack says, we weren't even in aisle 7.
Well, he also loses his child.
Both of his children.
Right, but at different times in the grocery store.
He realizes he's missing one child, and he goes to look for that child, and while he's looking for that child, he
Loses the
other child. Mm-hmm. But when he goes to get the one child, he goes and wanders off, and...
You're getting down closer.
Yes. He goes to
Just
get
make
the
your
one...
voice deeper.
Exactly.
Is my voice getting deeper?
He goes to get the one child.
Hello? I asked you, is my voice deeper now?
Mm-hmm.
Hello?
Hello.
Hello?
Hello.
He goes to get the other child.
And when he goes to get the other child...
He leaves the other one up front.
Right. Well, but he goes and finds his child in a shopping cart. Well, there was another child in his cart, and he takes it with him and puts it back in the other cart. And he goes, "Here, I will give you your child back and take my child." And he grabs his kid, and as he's walking away, the other lady goes, "But I don't have a child." Mm-hmm. So
that's some funny stuff right there.
He's creating all sorts of chaos.
He is, and that he goes off somewhere while he's running the vacuum, and the vacuum starts going after his middle child who has a whoopee, a blanket, and the blanket starts getting sucked up in the vacuum, and the middle child is screaming and scared because it's coming after him and the whoopee.
Well, and Mom has named the vacuum cleaner Jaws, so they're already afraid of it. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't, like, the name on the vacuum cleaner is not Kirby, but it looks like one of the old Kirby vacuums.
The really heavy,
it's a big,
scary
like,
one.
metal vacuum with a
red bag.
Yeah, that has the zipper that the bags go inside of.
And it has a handle on each side at the top, which is something you don't see. It looks more like a polishing, buffing machine you might see like at a school or something that they're doing the gymnasium floors with. So, yeah, he has like 100 things going on at once like this.
But I know that those vacuum cleaners, because my mom still has one that she needs to get rid of. Mom, if you're listening.
Because it's too dangerous.
Yeah, because they weigh like 80 pounds. They're humongous vacuum cleaners.
And when someone has balancing issues and they've recently broken their ankle, they do not need to try to balance the vacuum and their legs at the same time.
And instead of attachments, it has a like big gigantic hose with another vacuum head on the end of it. So you like use it and you still have to drag the vacuum cleaner behind you, like if it was one of those tank vacuum cleaners, but the tank is a whole nother vacuum
that
cleaner.
Attaches onto the upright vacuum cleaner. So basically it's like you have an octopus that you're trying to pull around the house to vacuum.
Yeah, it's like your vacuum cleaner has another vacuum cleaner.
Another head. And you're fighting with it.
It's insane.
Correct.
Now, something I forgot to throw out here at the beginning of the podcast. The very first time I saw this movie, I was in junior high, and it was the first time I ever went to one of our junior high honor roll movies.
I didn't think you made the honor roll.
Really?
I don't know. You didn't do any homework, and the only way you got good grades was by doing tests.
I am the smartest man alive!
Oh, honey, I don't know about that.
Yeah. I was on the honor roll all through junior high, all the time.
Isn't it just because you aced the tests?
Right.
But you didn't do the homework?
I did homework, and I got some work done in class, and then I could, like, do homework before class and get it turned in. And so if I got, like, C's on all my homework and aced all my tests, I still made the honor roll.
Okay, so this was an honor roll movie for you.
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's when I saw it. The only other honor roll movie I remember watching was Something Wicked This Way Comes.
I don't know about that. Never heard of it.
That was a Disney movie. And the only thing I remember about that movie, it was horrifying to me.
You just like blew into the microphone. I don't think they want to hear that.
Horrifying.
Stop that.
It was a PG-rated movie.
Listen, we're watching Mr. Mom. We don't need to hear about this. Okay.
There was a scene
Dear
where there are
Lord.
cracks in the ceiling and a bunch of spiders come pouring out of the cracks. And something you need to know
When
about
you bend
me,
over, I'm afraid a spider's going to pour out of your crack.
that would be the death of me. I am horrified of spiders. I hate spiders.
Sometimes I kill them for him.
So even though it was like a PG-rated Disney movie, maybe even a G-rated Disney movie, I don't know, a scene with spiders pouring out of a crack in a ceiling in a bedroom, like it was like a horror movie for me. I could have watched Nightmare on Elm Street easier.
I forget what you thought of arachnophobia.
I hated it. You made me watch it.
Eight-legged freaks.
Because it was funny.
Okay, let's
They
get
weren't
back to
scary
this movie.
spiders.
I don't remember the first time I saw this movie. I probably saw it Maybe at home with my parents.
Yeah, because you
I
didn't
don't
watch
remember.
honor roll movies.
Excuse me?
Excuse me?
How would you know if I saw honor roll movies or not?
You've never told me about honor roll movies.
I don't remember if we saw any at school or not. I made the honor roll all the time.
Whatever.
Really. And I did homework.
Whatever.
So, la-di-da. La-di frickin' da.
Well, Lottie frickin' da!
Thank
Right
you.
back at you.
No, that was mine to you.
No.
I just don't have my own soundboard. Maybe I need to do... I can't make my own soundboard because yours is plugged into the computer.
It's easy enough to fix.
You suck.
Whatever.
Moving on. It's almost Mother's Day. No, it's almost Mother's Day.
Almost doesn't
And-
count except for in horseshoes and hand
I
grenades.
had to work really hard to get your kids into this world. You better start being nice.
I had a 10-pound, 2-ounce baby.
You really think that's funny? Where do you think you're sleeping tonight?
14 and a half years ago.
Where do you think you're sleeping tonight?
In my bed next to my CPAP.
Yeah, I'm not sure about that.
My CPAP hose doesn't reach out to the living room.
Any women listening to this tonight, knowing you're mocking me for giving birth to your 10-pound, 2-ounce baby, are not going to like you very much. Because that's not even funny because it's all true. Don't. You better mean that.
That was for you having a 10-pound, 2-ounce baby.
You better mean that.
So, we were talking about a movie, weren't
So
we?
you did mean that, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. You were there.
Yeah, I was there.
Okay. Anyway.
Yeah, you were like, get this thing out of me.
I don't think I ever said that.
No, you really did.
I don't think so. I didn't scream.
No.
Anyway.
They're like, you're only 8 centimeters dilated. And you were like, I don't care.
That's true. I said, let's go. Anyhow.
And you were like,
We came, we saw, we kicked its ass.
None of that even would, no, that doesn't even make sense.
that's what you said afterwards.
That's not true either. I said, go get me some ice cream. That's what, yeah.
That's probably true. I
That
think
is
you
true.
sent me to Dairy Queen.
That is true. Okay, so now we're back to Mr. Mom, and I forgot where we are because you started talking about going to school. No more
Does that
soundboard.
make you feel better?
No more board.
Soundbar.
Yeah, I'll need a bar.
So, okay.
We were talking about a vacuum, your mom's octopus two-headed vacuum.
Yes. So there's a crazy vacuum
oh my gosh,
cleaner.
There's a crazy husband.
And he's doing a really crappy job with the kids.
You hate it because he's leaving the iron on the ironing board and it is sizzling the whole time and you were going crazy.
And it's on his shirt, but it never burns the shirt.
No, it's not on the shirt.
Oh, it's just on the end of
next
the
to
ironing
the shirt.
board.
But you're going crazy the whole time.
Yeah, like pick up the stupid iron, you jackwagon.
That's your biggest problem
Yeah. And then he heats up his kid's grilled cheese sandwich with it.
because it was cold in the middle.
Yeah. And then at one point, her boss comes over to talk to him. And he introduces himself and he says,
On a beer? 7 o'clock in the morning. Scotch?
That was the very first time he met him.
yeah.
And he's standing there with the chainsaw in his hands.
Yeah. And then he's talking about the electricity. And he says,
Yeah, 220, 221, whatever it takes.
which Krista has made those references our entire marriage. And I did not remember them being in this movie. Of course,
So-
Carrie Garr references that back to him later in the
About a
movie.
gun.
Actually, she doesn't. It's in a dream he has, but
It's still in the movie. But what's funny is my husband's always thought that it was funny when I said this, but he's never thought. I thought he knew what I was saying it for, but he didn't. But it's never occurred to him to ask. I don't know why he thought it was funny if he didn't know what it was relevant to.
yeah, because her boss asks if it's a 38 caliber, and he,
No, I'm talking to you
Right.
about me saying this, and you thought it was funny. And if you didn't know what it was relevant to, I'm not sure why you thought it was funny.
it just was funny.
But you've never thought, after we've been together 25 years, and you've never thought to say, where'd you come up with that joke?
I figured it was a reference to something. It just didn't matter to me what.
So today he says, pause this. And then I look at him and he said, I never knew that's where you came up with that. That's always been so funny. And I'm like, hi, I'm your wife. It's nice to meet you. Would you like to get to know me a little bit better? Such a goof. Are you still there?
Apparently, I'm such a goof.
You are.
So everything's going bad. He's playing poker with the ladies, the other moms. There's also, she takes him to...
Who's she?
Caroline, his wife.
Carolyn.
They go to a corporate event, and initially they're going to leave quickly.
Her boss's house.
Yeah, they're going to leave quickly because
jumping all around
he doesn't
here.
really want to be there. And while they're there, he's like, well, you can participate. They allow spouses to participate. And he's like, nah, we've got to go see my aunt.
Her sick aunt,
Helen, or something. And he's like, well, you can go over and watch with the rest of the wives, spouses. And then he takes that insultingly. So he tells his kid to go get his sweats out of the car.
because men are stupid.
Because now he's going to compete.
Right, because men have to see which one's more masculine.
And they're lined up, getting ready to line up for the first event, and all the other guys are talking, and they're like, well, it doesn't really matter. I mean, he's going to win. And Jack's like, well, what do you mean he's going to win? Well, he's the boss. And Jack's like, well, he's not my boss. Well, he's your wife's boss. And they start the event, and Jack's trying really hard, and nobody else is. Well, all the other guys, to keep Jack from causing trouble, they're like grabbing him and slowing him down and trying to keep him from winning. Nonetheless, he still ends up, by the end of the whole thing, out in the lead. And as he's running, he looks over and sees his wife, who looks a little concerned about the fact that he might just win this thing and her boss might lose.
I don't know that she looked concerned.
She looked a little concerned.
I don't know.
And at the last minute before they get to the finish line, he trips and falls on purpose. And so the boss ends up winning again, like he does every year, apparently. And
He's celebrating on top of everybody's shoulders.
right, they're all like acting like it's this big deal that he won, even though everybody let him win.
Yeah, I couldn't work for somebody like that.
No.
That just couldn't work for me.
So
boss, if you're listening to this, don't know if you are. I can't trip and let you win. We can't do this.
No. So they're having their poker games. He's playing poker with the rest of the ladies
Who's
that were
he?
friends.
We were just talking about the
Jack.
boss. Okay. And they were playing with coupons.
Right. And one night his wife gets home while they're playing poker, and one of the ladies who has apparently decided that she is going to seduce Jack. She's like got her arm around him and being real flirty with him when Carolyn gets home.
She was asking him to look at her hand of cards to see if she had anything good.
And she had 2 pairs. But she really just wanted him to comment on her pair. And
She wasn't eating a pear.
Right.
Why are you looking at me like
pear
that?
They were referring to. She was referring to her melons, not her pear.
I don't know what you're speaking of. Let's move on. This is a family podcast.
So has been trying to seduce him quite a bit. And he has also started watching, was it Days of Our Lives?
It is The Young and the Restless.
The Young and the Restless with
Victor.
Who is apparently still on Young and the Restless.
He is. Well, I don't watch it anymore, but I'm pretty sure he's still there.
He is probably pretty old. He's got to be like 107 by now.
Well, he's been married like 13 more times and had 6 children. Even though on there, they were trying to decide what is his wife's name on there? I already forgot her name.
I don't remember. April?
No.
Heather?
No.
Candace?
No, stop.
Diana?
No.
Barbara?
No, please stop speaking. If it was his baby or this other guy's.
And he'd had
And
a vasectomy,
Jack's like, I'm pretty
but
sure
it
it's
failed.
Victor's. And he said, well, no, Victor had a vasectomy. And then, what's her face on the phone is like, but it failed. And he goes, what? Yeah, I know Victor's had other children.
So
Even though he's all wrinkly like a date.
he's watching these soaps. The first time he catches it. He's like, I can't believe people watch this garbage. And then the next thing you know, he's watching it like daily and is totally hooked on the storyline. And
I got out early.
I never watched it.
I did, but I got out early.
So
Bold and the Beautiful is on after As the World Turns.
great. And The Days of Our Lives.
No, As the World Turns. You're on the wrong channel.
And
This
General
is CBS.
Hospital.
No, that's not the right channel.
General Hospital was on ABC.
This is CBS. Okay, let's move on.
So he is watching one day and he starts
One day at a time.
daydreaming. That wasn't a soap opera, that was a sitcom.
Our life is a sitcom.
And that had what's his name?
I don't know anybody named What's Her
You
Face.
know, the guy
No.
that was the building superintendent
So are we not talking about this movie now?
that always carried the
Snyder?
$12 Snyder.
So we're not talking about this movie any longer.
You said one day at a time.
So he starts, he doesn't realize it, but he's having a daydream.
And in his daydream,
Yes.
she comes over.
Who's she?
I don't remember her name. Barbara, Janet.
Well, but
Carla.
she's not married anymore, and she's always flirting with him.
Yeah, the same one that was flirting with him at the poker
And
game.
she
about her
calls
pear.
him and says she'll be right over. And he hangs up the phone, and she's immediately knocking on the door.
And she shows up and she's wearing a long trench coat. And she starts commenting on how she loves his shirt.
And his wife had just said that that shirt is horrible.
And it's disgusting. He hasn't washed it in 2 weeks.
And his wife had just commented on his shaggy beard and the way he looks. And she never said he was fat, but he started saying, oh, I bet you think I'm fat too.
And she's like, I like a man with a little meat on his bones. And then he said something about his beard. And then she takes her coat off and she's wearing Teddy underneath it. And she comes and wraps her arms around him and they start kissing.
And
then his wife barges through the door. And she's
shocked, upset, mad.
both. She's all of those things.
And then she produces a gun.
Yes. And then her boss comes in the door.
Are you sure?
Yes. I believe, maybe not.
I don't think so.
No.
Because then all of a sudden his wife is fighting with the friend. And you don't know how it happens, but the gun goes off, but somehow Jack gets shot, even though it was the two of them wrestling around.
And he has like a long drawn out dramatic like falling into everything. And then he looks at the gun and he says,
No, he looks down at his shirt and he goes, that was my favorite flannel shirt.
but then he's like, what is that? A 38? And she goes, 38, 39, whatever it takes.
Mm-hmm.
Referencing his earlier comment.
Exactly.
And then the show ends and he wakes up and realizes that it was
just a
all
dream.
in his mind.
But then someone knocks at the door.
And he's like, oh.
And he opens the door and it really is the slutty friend. And he goes, what are you doing here?
And she's there for the poker game.
And he
But
says, well, it's
she's-
canceled. She's dressed.
And she's the only
Right.
one there, though.
And he says, well, she says, well, our friends are going to be running late. And he goes, no, it's canceled.
And
I forget why he
then
says,
he
though.
decides he's going to get his crap together. And so all of a sudden he starts really cleaning the house and taking care of the kids. And
Meaning he's even painting the fence, cleaning the windows on the outside. And he starts exercising with the friends. And it's like, seriously. It's crazy. Oh, he starts working the school drop-off lane even.
yes.
It's
and
just-
so there's like a montage of like 3 or 4 minutes just showing all the things that he's suddenly doing now that
He did wrong before.
That he did wrong before.
Yeah.
And so like he's now finally got the Mr. Mom thing down.
Right, and he burnt his flannel shirt.
And
It's
trying to get his little kid to burn his whoopee, which had been an issue through the whole movie. And then his little kid looks at the fire with the shirt burning and takes off running up the stairs. He does later finally talk his little kid into giving up his whoopee. But
Now you're messing it up for everyone, Jason. That was part of the plot, part of the twist.
there was no twist there.
This was the twist, the whoopee, Jason. You just gave away the whoopee.
I don't think
It meant
that was
everything.
not an M. Night Shyamalan moment.
The whoopee was
When
it
you
all.
find out he was dead the whole time.
Jason, the whoopee was everything.
By the way, if you haven't watched The Sixth Sense,
Stop talking.
he was dead the whole time.
Stop talking. Stop talking. The whoopee was the key to the whole movie, Jason. It should have been named Mr. Whoopee and not Mr. Mom. So anyhow,
And The Sixth Sense should have been called He Was Dead the Whole Time.
Carolyn gives her, what do I want to call this? Her prop, no. Her
yeah.
commercial idea to the owner of Schooner Tuna because he's not like anybody else's.
And he loves it.
And he
her
loves
idea
hers.
is just for them to cut the price by 50 cents a can.
For a while.
I don't know how much their tuna cost. We get tuna like for $1 something a can.
No, it's usually $1 or under.
And
yeah, this
so-
was in the 80s, so
yeah.
it must have been a lot of money to drop it by 50 cents a can until the financial hardships are over.
Yeah, so 1983, this was early. This was like towards probably when this was filmed, it was like the middle of the first Reagan term presidency. So it was the tail end maybe of the late 70s, early 80s recession. Fortunately, things turned around shortly after that, and they were
It was
able to
because
get their tuna
it was
money
because
back.
of Schooner Tuner.
Schooner
I just said
tuner.
it backwards. So anyway, the guy loves it. And so like she has just a couple of hours and she's going to be taken off on a flight
Yeah, so it's Halloween,
to do the commercial.
and she has a big argument with Jack because he's upset that she is just suddenly bailing on her family and leaving on Halloween. And, you know, her job's suddenly taking over her entire life.
And she's never home. She doesn't know that her one kid lost 2 teeth or that the other one finally gave up his whoopee.
Spoiler alert.
And she doesn't know that the baby has gotten 2 teeth.
Right.
Right. And so
If
anyway.
the baby's losing teeth already, there's something
No,
wrong.
I was thinking of one of the other kids. So he's all upset, and she's, well, what do you want me to do? I can't just stop my job. This is what I'm supposed to be doing, blah, 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 blah. So they don't leave on good terms.
No. And so she goes on her trip, and
His friends then, this is what I think you were talking about, take him on a night out.
they go to a bar first, and they're all drinking, and then he's like gonna go home, and they decide they took him to dinner, and then they're like, no, we bought you dinner, we're gonna take you out, and they get him in the car with them, and they take him out to a strip club, but it's not a girls strip club, it's a men's strip club, like a strip club where men strip.
Correct.
And so he plays along and seems to have a good time with it, and ends up somehow getting the room or the phone number for one of the strippers, which
Well, yeah.
he hands off to one of the girls.
Or does he? But he gets home, and one of his sons is begging to call mommy. And so he wasn't going to, but then he just keeps begging.
The sitter is like, well, it's only 8:30 in California, so they decide to go ahead and call. And he calls. Well, she is taking a bath, and unbeknownst to her, her boss has snuck into her room with some room service, champagne, and
Because he's a real turd.
yes. So when the phone rings, he picks it up. It's one of the kids that's called, and the kid's like, not sure who it is.
Yeah, the kid's like, Dad, a guy's answered. And so Dad grabs the phone.
And says, who is this? And he's like, the guy's like, well, who's this? He's like, well, this is her husband. And the guy hangs up on him.
Well, no, he says, where's Carolyn? This is her husband.
And he's like, she's
He's
in the bath.
And
Who's this?
just, yeah.
Yeah. And so then he thinks that she must be cheating on him. He apparently recognized the voice because when she gets home, he says who it was that answered the phone.
Well, she has kept trying to call him, but he's not answering the phone because he's upset.
Jerking the phone off the cord.
Because then phones were corded into the wall.
They were, yes.
Yes. And so the day she's supposed to come back, he's doing all kinds of crazy things. He's decided to start refinishing one of the rooms, and for some reason, all 3 children are painting the room.
Yes, even though they're like, I think the oldest one's maybe 6 or 7.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then there's like a 3 or 4-year-old and a 1-year-old.
Maybe. And yeah, there's a guy there who's an exterminator, a woman who's repairing the TV because he got mad at the TV and kicked it with his shoe, which I don't think you can repair that after you've done that. And then the one slutty friend comes over, and all of a sudden he decides he's going to go up and take a shower while the kids still are painting, which again doesn't make sense. And there are 2 strangers around the house doing things. All the while his kids...
They've been in the house a couple times before.
Right.
So I don't know exactly how much of strangers they are.
It doesn't matter. Your kids are still downstairs painting.
Right.
And he decides, and he tells his friend, I don't remember her name, that he's going upstairs to shower. So while he's in the shower...
he tells her to fix herself a drink. She knows where everything's at.
And she decides to take a tray of drinks upstairs to the bedroom, which he has actually decided to go refinish. And so it's got a whole different theme and stuff going on. And she decides to lay out on the bed, which she's still dressed. And in the meantime, he's in the bathroom telling himself all the reasons he should or shouldn't give in to her.
And she's laying on the bed going,
"Look at my sexy body."
Yeah, okay. I don't think her voice was quite that deep.
It was pretty close.
I mean, she probably was as hairy, but the whole time he's going from A to Z in the alphabet, back and forth between why he deserves it or why he shouldn't. And in the meantime, his wife is home, and the crazy stuff's still going on in the house. She goes upstairs, walks in the door, and sees her friend, in quotations, laying on her bed, and she says, Joan, her name is Joan. Joan, why are you in my room? And Joan's like,
she's like, I love rock and roll.
No.
Put another dime in the jukebox,
she's
baby.
Like, oh, well, and she,
or was she like,
what
do
is she?
you want to touch? Do you want to touch?
That brings up bad memories to a concert last year where I had to watch a woman dancing to that song. Anyhow, she's like, Joan really doesn't have an answer. What is she going to say? And just then her husband gets to Z. Z, no, I'm not going to do this because I'm in love with my wife. And he comes out buttoning his shirt up and he goes, listen, Joan, and turns around and his wife is laying across the bed.
And she's like, Jack. And he's like, Caroline. And she's like,
Carolyn. Her name is Carolyn.
And she's like, well, now that we've got the names straight.
Why was a woman laying across my bed? I mean, he's like, what do you say? He's like, nothing's happened with Joan. And anyway, why don't we talk about why your boss answered your phone in your room last night? And so I don't remember what happens,
and they
but
go
he
downstairs
leaves.
And her boss is coming in the door with flowers. And his boss, or his former boss, is down there. They walk down and his former boss is down there begging him to come back to work. And then her boss barges in the door.
In the meantime, his kid had something to say. And this was the second time his former boss, had been rude to his kid. And he'd already warned him not to talk to his kid that way. And he tells his kid.
He goes, be quiet, kid, I'm talking.
Yeah.
And he says, I already told you the next time you talk to my kid that way.
And then he just punches him in the face. And in the meantime.
And his kid goes, one punch.
And in the meantime, somebody's at the door, and I don't know who let her boss in, but he comes in
probably like the exterminator,
with tape over his nose and flowers in his hand, and he's like, Carolyn, Carolyn, I'm begging you to forgive me. Please come back.
Schooner Tuna is not going to stay with us unless you're back with us.
And I don't remember what Jack says to his wife. And he's like, you quit? Yeah, I quit.
And he's like, I'll do anything. And the TV repair lady's like, how about 3 days a week?
Yeah. And in the meantime, his boss is begging him to come back. And he goes, you want a company car? How about a company car? And he's trying to talk to his wife, too. And he finds out in the meantime that she punches him because he snuck into her room and tried to get fresh.
And he's like, well, apparently you can handle yourself.
And she says, I don't know why you would have thought I couldn't. And then his boss is still begging him to come back because they found out that basically with the things he did and that productivity is down without the coworkers there.
And
so
he asks the exterminator, he's like, they're offering me double my salary in a company car. Should I take it? And the exterminator's like, well, yeah.
And he says, well, you tell him I'll only come back if the other guys
like
come
Tim
too.
and Stan, I think were their names. And he's like, okay, he'll only come back if he can bring Tim and Stan. And his boss is like, done. So he ends up getting his job back and Tim and Stan's jobs back. And his wife ends up agreeing to only work 3 days a week.
Part-time.
And
in the meantime, she takes the flowers and gives them to the exterminator because she doesn't want his crap.
Right.
And
they get passed around to like 5 different people before
Yeah.
the exterminator ends up with them.
And basically everybody lived happily ever after.
Yes. So we'll hit our trivia real quick. Not a whole lot of trivia. First of all, a year after this movie was released, they made a spin-off television movie version. In 1984, it had a different cast and crew, but John Hughes and Stanley Dragoti were credited with the characters and story because they had written and directed the original.
I don't know anything about this. Do you know anything about it?
No. But apparently it existed on television.
Well, that's just weird.
Also, Michael Keaton, his actual name is not Michael Keaton. It is Michael Douglas.
Is his middle name even Keaton?
His middle name is John.
That's weird. Where'd Keaton come from?
He joined the Screen Actors Guild. The names Michael Douglas and Mike Douglas were used. Michael Douglas, we know who that is, Kirk Douglas' son, the famous actor. Mike Douglas was a TV news reporter. And so he picked Keaton at random when he was going through K's in a phone book.
Why not use his middle name?
He got to Keaton and was like, I like that one.
That's weird.
I'm going to use that name.
Why the case? I don't know.
So we are going to take a short break and we will be right back.
Show starts in 1 minute.
Please remember to replace the speaker on the post.
You are the biggest dork ever.
We are back, and we are going to talk about our favorite scenes in the movie.
I think we should talk about how dorky you are.
How dorky are I?
Do I have enough time?
You have all the time in the world.
And you'll just cut it out later?
No.
What you doing right now?
If it's entertaining.
I'm always entertaining.
Are you now?
Am I?
Usually. I mean, you certainly keep things lively around here.
I don't know about that.
But we are ready to talk about our favorite scenes
Are
in
we?
the movie. We are.
How do you know what I'm ready for?
Well, that's the point we are at in the podcast.
Who's this we you speak about?
You and I, me and you and me.
I'm not sure.
No matter how we rolled the dice.
I think you're talking about you and that turd in your pocket.
The only one for me is you, and you for me.
Oh, okay.
So happy together.
Anyway, favorite scenes. Mine or yours?
We'll start with yours.
You always start with mine.
Okay,
We're
start
starting
with
with
mine.
yours. Mm-hmm.
The scene at the sports field was funny. And the vacuum cleaner scene was funny. You know, the vacuum cleaner scene where the vacuum cleaner's going crazy and attacking everybody. Mm-hmm. And the grocery store scene is extremely funny.
No, that's my scene. I told you when that started, it was my favorite scene.
In the whole world.
Let's talk about those huge boxes of feminine pads. Dear Lord.
Yes, it was a
my
box
gosh.
of 30 pads, and it was the size of a cereal box.
Like a family-sized box of cereal.
So the pads were the size of small boats.
That is horrible.
So I guess, they didn't have the absorbency technology in
So
1983.
before you take all of my favorite scenes, the grocery store scenes are my favorite.
There's only one grocery store scene.
But there are multiple scenes in the grocery store, and they're all good. And then the 220, 221, whatever it takes, that is a favorite scene of mine.
Yes.
Since
Just
now
why
you
you've
know
been
why.
Quoting it for a long
For as long as you've known me, and you didn't know why until today. That says
Yes.
something.
In talking about favorite scenes, this isn't really a scene. It's more like an overarching theme in the movie. This movie probably has the most sexism and misogyny of any movie I've seen in a very, very, very long time.
I would like a massage.
That's not the same thing.
I just was throwing that out.
So, even like this movie was kind of intended to poke fun at misogyny and the male-female roles, but even in doing so, it still is very misogynistic and sexist.
The world still is today.
But like 1983's attempt at being more fair and equal-handed in their treatment of men and women was still very sexist.
Why don't we go on to critics' reviews? And you're going to read Ebert's.
Hold on, we're not
What?
there yet.
I'm
We did
there.
not do alternate casting.
It's not there. Oh, I see it now. But see, you messed up because on my notes, it was supposed to come before our reviews.
It is before our reviews.
But we just gave reviews.
No, we have not given reviews yet. We gave favorite scenes.
Fine. You're being a turd.
So, Jack Butler.
Jack the Ripper.
Several people were considered for this role. Would have made it a different sort of a movie. One of them was Michael Douglas. So it could have been Michael Douglas or Michael Douglas.
Wah, 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 wah.
Also considered for this movie
Stop looking at your soundboard.
were Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, John Travolta, Robin Williams. That would have been fun.
Okay.
John Goodman. I don't know what that would have been like. John Goodman had not even been in Roseanne yet. I don't know if anyone knew who he was.
Somebody did.
And George Segal. I'm not sure how that would have worked.
I don't think so.
The grandpa off of The Goldbergs. As Carolyn Butler, we had Karen Allen. Jane Curtin would have been funny.
Probably so.
Farrah Fawcett, I don't know. She was more known for her attractiveness than her comedic talent. And Sally Field.
You know what would have been funny is Jane Curtin played in Keaton Alley, didn't
Yes,
she?
she did.
And the oldest son on here was the son on Keaton Alley. So that would have been interesting.
Yes, now the oldest son on here between 1982 and 1985 also appeared in 5 episodes of Saturday Night Live,
And
which was where Jane Curtin got her start, as also did Chevy Chase, Steve Martin.
but my point was that had she been the mom on here, she would have been the mom to him. And then later in life, she was the mom to him on Keaton Alley.
Was she his mom?
Yeah,
Okay, I couldn't remember.
she was because the dark-haired one on Keaton
Yeah.
Alley only had the daughter.
Had the daughter.
Right.
Now, Ron Richardson,
Ron was her boss.
Martin Mull.
Yeah.
The people who were considered for that role included Burt Reynolds, Dabney Coleman, Jeffrey Jones, who was the dad in Beetlejuice, and Jack Nicholson. Jack Nicholson, I don't know how exactly that would have played off. I've never seen him.
Here's Johnny.
Yeah, I've never seen him play like a comedic role. Like he's always been a little demented. And other people who were looked at for director, John Hughes was going to direct the movie. He did not want to because he prefers directing movies that take place around Chicago. And this movie took place in Detroit.
That seems really dumb.
And they also looked to Ron Howard and Ted Kotcheff. If you don't know who Ted Kotcheff is, he is
Excuse you.
the man who brought us the original First Blood movie, as well as Weekend at Bernie's.
Now, can we do critic reviews?
We can.
But I'm
well,
not
let's
doing-
do our reviews.
I don't want to do our reviews.
But that's what we do.
So, Jason, tell me, how do you think this holds up?
This holds up. It's like. It's
Out of 5 Shiznitz, how many Shiznitz would you give this? 1 Shiznitz being, you hate this, you never want to see it again in your whole life. When you watch it, it makes you want to throw up. 5 Shiznitz being, oh my goodness, this is incredible. I see fireworks in the sky when I watch this movie, and I would want to watch it like once a week for the rest of my life.
I would say like maybe 2.1 Shiznitz.
What's a 0.1 Shiznitz?
Well, it's just where it landed.
I don't know about that.
I'm going to say...
Tell me why you gave it 2.1 Shiznitz.
Okay, doctor, do I need to lay down on a couch?
So does this mean that you're not vomiting?
Right. It means...
But wait, did it give you the runs?
I had those earlier, but not because of this.
Are you sure?
Yeah, because I hadn't watched this yet.
Did it give you a stomach ache?
No. It was funny and amusing, but it was like funny in that way that like you kind of felt cringy about it being funny because a lot of the things were just not appropriate anymore. And at the same time, it's one of those movies that, you know, if I catch it once every 10 or 15 years, that's plenty. You know, I don't need to watch it that often. Like if we don't watch it again, you know, for another 15 years, you know, when my kids have kids that are teenagers and they want to watch it, we can watch it with them. But I'm fine until then.
You know, I forgot another thing in the movie that I think is funny is when Joan goes up on the stage at the male strip club. She does that weird dance
where she's like pivoting her
this
hips.
is mine. Where she somehow gets her hips to shake back and forth. I've never seen anybody go like that. And it is funny.
Yeah, it was a little disturbing.
That is funny. Okay.
So, how would you rate this movie?
I'll give it 3 Shiznitz.
So, just a little better than I did.
Sure. I mean, some of the stuff's still pretty funny. I remember watching it when I was a kid and it being really funny. Things have changed, yes. And things aren't funny in the same way that they used to be and they shouldn't be. I wouldn't watch it all the time, no. So that's where we are. I hope we keep progressing, but we still have the misogynistic, you know, things that are still there.
Yeah. This is a once every generation sort of a movie to watch.
All right. Now, can we move on to the critic reviews?
We can.
And I'm not doing Ebert this week.
Okay, so we will start with our best friend, Roger Ebert of the Chicago Sun-Times. Roger Ebert gave this a 2 out of 4.
That's a surprise.
And he said they had a great idea here. It's too bad they didn't follow through on a human level. I don't know what that means.
I don't know that he's on a human level.
Instead of making it feel made up and artificial and twice removed. Again, don't know what that means. From the everyday experience it pretends to be about. So those were definitely words.
Correct. Next, we have Scott Weinberg from DVD Talk. 3.5 stars out of 5. Well, I can tell you right here that this is a newer review because there were not DVDs when this was made. He says, even with Irma Brombeck-style domestic humor like Mr. Mom's got in Spades, Keaton consistently rises above the mawkish material. All right.
So it wasn't great material, but Michael Keaton did a great job with it.
Correct.
And Austin Trunick from Under the Radar said, "This is probably third-tier Hughes. It won't find its way onto any top 10 lists of the filmmaker's work, but it's far more enjoyable than the bulk of his 90s credits." I didn't know he had any. "And is anchored by a fun performance from a baby-faced Michael Keaton, an excellent supporting cast," I don't know what word I was trying to say there, "and a few truly funny off-the-wall scenes."
All right.
So he thought it was amusing, but not one of John Hughes's best movies.
Let's go down to some real people like you and I.
And Jeff.
From Amazon. Jeff says, "You no longer see good screenplays like this anymore." Jeff. 5 stars. "This is a true comedy classic. You no longer see good written screenplays like this anymore." I just said that, I think. "Unfortunately, the movie comedies of today are trash humor like that no-talent Amy Schumer in her ridiculous movies. The screenwriters of today can take a lesson from those back in the early 80s, and maybe someday Hollywood will produce movies like they used to. This movie has a great cast and everyone in the family can watch it. I really miss this time in film history. Great to relive the moments when writing was a real art form.
Make America Great Again.
Hee-haw."
So apparently this was from the heyday of great movie making.
Yes, I watched it with my American flag around my shoulders, and my wife had her Confederate flag around hers. Moving on.
And we made Confed American babies.
No, there was one already in the bassinet.
Romance Junkie. Reality Check, 5 stars. "You know a movie is good when you can watch it again and spontaneously break into wild laughter. And that's what Mr. Mom did for us in the 80s and still does now. Keaton and Gar really show us how to make life work when the pressures of family and the shared complexity of a one-income family and gender roles. At a time when women at work was still taking off, this iconic film has themes still relevant today." I don't know about all that.
Eric Amara, I'm guessing that's how you say that.
And that's how I would say it.
"Disappointing, 1 star. The movie focuses on temptations of marital infidelity. If you don't feel comfortable with suggestive flirtation and innuendos, skip this movie. Many parts of it were comical and some good messages were portrayed, but we didn't finish it because we were disappointed with the low moral standard displayed by many of the characters." I understand. I'm a little disappointed with that run-on sentence there at the end.
Yes, and all the horrors in the movie.
The horrors?
Horrors. Horrors.
Okay, let's move on to Grace, please.
Grace. The title of Grace's review is "Profanity Wasn't Necessary." Now, I watched this movie. I don't even remember there being profanity.
There was just a couple of words.
I missed it. 1 star. I watched this movie for about half an hour and really saw no need for the profanity words that were included. Didn't watch enough to comment on the story.
There were just a couple.
So,
our kids are getting older and we probably aren't as sensitive to them any longer. I don't yell out at you when there's one on TV, so, you know.
So, that is what some other people thought about the movie. Apparently, Eric, Amira, and Grace are a little uptight about their movies. And
You're going to belch?
Romance Junkie and Jeff loved it.
You picked 2 completely polar opposites.
Jeff, however, does not like that no-talent Amy Schumer.
She's, I'm not a fan of hers either. So
Well, you're not a fan of her, but you've liked some of her movies.
one movie.
So.
And it was I-8. It was just I-8.
So, as we close, we can bow our heads.
No, I don't want to do that this week. I don't want to bow my head.
Close your eyes.
Nope, not going to do it. You can't make me. You're not the boss of me.
I will punch you in the forehead until you close your eyes.
I don't think that you will.
You're probably right.
I know. If you did, we would not still be married.
You can follow us
No, I'm not going to do that either.
on Twitter
Okay.
at Schweet Shiznitz. At Schweet Shiznitz.
At?
The @ sign in Schweet Shiznitz. You can follow me at Gravy Boat Pirate or Krista at Krista White 73.
I'm pretty boring.
At.
I am pretty boring.
We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/.
Good job.
Schweet Shiznitz. We're on Instagram at Schweet Shiznitz.
At.
And you can email us. Please email us. Our email inbox gets real lonely sometimes. Email us at sweetshiznitz@gmail.com. If you follow us, share our posts and our tweets or respond to us. We will respond back. We read. I read. I don't think Krista has ever been on our Twitter account.
You don't let me.
I told you I would give you the password.
You told me you'd punch me.
I've never punched
They
you.
heard you just say that you'd punch me in the head.
I've never
Everyone
punched you.
hears you
Ever.
say that you'd punch me in the head. You know what? You've kicked me before.
Not on purpose.
I don't know. I was just trying to rub your foot and you kicked me.
So that's because my feet are real sensitive.
Yeah, you're just
So-
going to keep going, aren't you?
Share our posts and tweets. Let your friends and family know about us. Let your followers know about us. Let your dad and mom know about us. Let your kids know about us. This is the best gift you can give us.
Let your coworkers know about us.
You can find Schweet Shiznitz on iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn Radio, anywhere you find
Hey,
quality
tell your
podcasts.
barista about us.
Yes, your barista
Everybody's
would
got
like
a
us.
barista.
Everybody.
My
And if
kid,
you don't drink
my
coffee,
kid's a barista.
yeah, if you don't drink coffee, we'll tell your bartender about us.
Sure. Tell your neighbor.
Don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. Click that subscribe button, and then every week when our new episode comes out, it'll plop right into your little phone and be ready for you.
It'll poop right up in your phone.
And then rate and review us. Your ratings and reviews help make us more visible and help others to find us. Schweet Shiznitz is paid for by listeners like you. To be a supporter of Schweet Shiznitz, go to patreon.com/sweetshiznitz // Supporters will get access to bonus content and help shape the content of our show, so you can let us know what you want to hear, what you don't want to hear, what
Jason.
movies you want us to watch.
Like Steel Magnolias.
The Man of Steel, Superman.
No, Steel Magnolias.
And we will also mention you on the air, send you gifts and surprises.
Surprise.
It's my thong.
What?
Thong, 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 thong.
Dear God, no. That's horrible. You don't have any thongs.
You're right, I don't. But
That's not nice.
I can buy some.
Oh, no.
And
Just
until
not
next
nice.
week,
Okay, so I'll see you later, huh? I'll give you a call.
I won't give you a call. I don't have your phone number. But we will see you later, talk to you later, and tell your mom I said goodbye.
Tell your mom Happy Mother's Day.
And happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. Bye-bye.